A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to StudyIQ English. Very good morning, Order, Abhishek, Ponguru. As I wait for all the other aspirants to join in, let us begin looking at today's Hindu newspaper. And Hindu newspaper, the New Delhi edition. So, like every day here at StudyIQ English, you and I will discuss the exam relevant, UPSC relevant articles from today's Hindu New Delhi edition. And this is 7th October 2025 that we shall be looking at. Okay. So, once again, today's newspaper has a diverse set of news items, out of which at least 6 are important for UPSC. Talking about the first two articles here, these both are editorial page articles because they are page number 6. Very good morning, dear Shubham. Very good morning, Pranesh. The first two editorial articles are each about one. Why is the executive and why is the legislature in India criticizing Indian judiciary? Does Indian judiciary really deserve the blame that people are putting onto it? Or is judiciary doing its best? The problem lies with legislature, executive, and the parliament itself. That's the analysis for first article. Second article also is an editorial, and it is a fresh look at Israel-Palestine conflict. The world is not very happy right now, especially civil society groups, International Court of Justice, International Criminal Court. All these organizations, it looks like they are failing now. Because no matter who says what, we all know there is going to be no permanent solution to Israel-Palestine conflict. That's the second article. And then we will also discuss 4 other articles, but those are more of prelims articles, okay? So before I begin with the first article, page number 6, editorial. Very good morning, my dear Tanya Vikash. This article says calling out the criticism of Indian judiciary. When we are talking about judiciary versus legislature, judiciary versus the executive. This is definitely GS paper 2. From UPSC syllabus, we are talking about governance and polity here. We are talking about the role of the Supreme Court in India, the role of the high courts in India and the lower courts. We are also going to look at the problems that Indian courts are facing. If I remember clearly, just about 3-4 days before, we had done another article which was talking about the problems faced by Indian judiciary. Today also this article is quite similar. It is just a reaction. This article is the reaction to a comment made by Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, who is a member of Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council, the PMEAC. In his comment, he has called Indian judiciary as the single biggest cause behind India's backwardness and the single biggest obstacle in India becoming Viksit Bharat, developed country by 2047. And this article says it was a very poorly created statement. It was not a valid comment, and it was nothing but an insult to the very existence and functioning of Indian judiciary. So that's the article here. Once again, it is polity governance. So let's look exactly at what the article has to say. Very good morning, Susha. The articles begin by saying recently as Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, a very important member of Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council, had clearly said that India's judiciary is a hurdle. It is an obstacle in India becoming a superpower. Viksit Bharat, the developed India by 2047. But this comment shows a deeper problem. It is not about somebody just coming and creating a blame. It shows a deeper fracture in India's political landscape. For one, it shows how there is a larger trend for people blaming judiciary. The judiciary is blamed for the problems and the delays that usually happen from executive and the legislature. Why should we blame the judiciary for developmental problems, delays in implementing economic welfare projects, or delays in implementing economic reforms? This article here is saying that criticism against judiciary, when it becomes too much, it is against the spirit of democracy. In India, clearly we know that our Indian polity has 4 pillars. If one is executive, the other legislature, then third is judiciary, and media is often called as the 4th pillar of a democracy. All of these are important. But then judiciary is the most important, because without judiciary, there is no way there is going to be transparency. There is no way an individual can get justice. It is impossible. So why do we have a culture of blaming judiciary for everything? It is a practice where you are making judiciary the scapegoat of your own problems. In India, it is becoming a trend now. Every time a project is delayed, the judiciary is blamed. Absolutely, as you're saying, order. Well said. Like the former vice president case, Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar's case. There also, judiciary was blamed for lack of transparency. It is becoming a culture with us right now. But is that a fair thing to do? No. Because this article is saying, even if we believe for once that Indian judiciary has shown some signs of inefficiency in the past, delays in jurisdictions, pending cases, lack of transparency, these are not judicial problems. All these problems are coming because it is a failure of legislature and executive together. According to this article, judicial inefficiency is not a disease. It is a symptom of a larger disease. This is just a symptom. But the disease lies with executive and legislature in India. Why does the article say that? Article says in India the courts are experiencing a heavy burden of legislation. Just last week we saw an article in which it said that Supreme Court of India is working at its full strength right now. There are 33 judges on the panel. And despite that, Supreme Court has more than 82,000 pending cases. That is the overload of work that Supreme Court judges have to bear with. Apart from that, it is also easily visible that judges have to work on about 100 to 50 cases each day. The courts are understaffed. They don't have resources. In high courts in India and in lower courts, vacancies are there. And the vacancies are not getting filled for years altogether. The courts are overburdened. There is a limited crunch of infrastructure. All this is not the problem with judiciary. It is a problem of our legislature having failed the judiciary. One major reason for this high burden, for example, union and state governments in India account for 50% of all the cases in front of the courts. Can you imagine that? It is the union central government and the state governments who together are responsible for 50% of cases in front of the courts. Many times it is a fight between the union and states. Many times it is a fight between one state or another. It could be about sharing of resources, migration policy, funding, financing. But every time there is a fight between states or the center and the states, like recently there was a controversy between Kerala and the Central Finance Commission, where states like Kerala and Karnataka feel that the Central Finance Commission doesn't give us enough money. More money is given to states like UP and Bihar, which have a higher population and lower levels of social economic development. This, according to the southern states, is unfair. So many times in this tussle, in this battle between interstate or union to state, the burden comes on the courts, with 50% of the total cases coming from center and the states together. There are ministries, there are departments who file routine appeals, even on matters that have been settled long ago. This is a waste of time for the judges of India. Absolutely, well said, Vikash. Former Calcutta judge. Yes, like he joined the political party back in 2024. Absolutely. That also became a major cause of concern. Then, as you're reminding me, Vikash, I also remember one more case. Recently, there was a fight about Supreme Court's own judge selection, when two judges from Gujarat and Bihar, they were promoted to the Supreme Court. Once again, that became a major controversy, where the only lady, soon to be Chief Justice in India, Justice Nagaratna, also called out to the problem that in the Supreme Court, we see a lack of states representation equally. With states like Gujarat, Bihar, they are getting over importance here. So that also was a case that eventually came in front of the Supreme Court, the collegium controversy. So every time there is a battle of a political nature, it lands up in the Supreme Court. It is a waste of time of the taxpayers' money. It is a waste of time of the judges. Besides, most of our judges are working even on their vacations. People say that Supreme Court is closed for the summer break. But in reality, the judges still continue to work by finishing the overload that they have. There is barely a concept of vacation, in fact, because all judicial time is getting wasted in cases that could have been arbitrated otherwise also. At the same time, there are often cases with prisoners' bail delay, wrongfully detained prisoners, teachers, government officers, contractors. They are also filing litigations for their legitimate money that the institutions are not releasing. Then at the same time, there is a problem where judges are hearing 100 to 50 cases per day. Now, 100 to 50 cases per day is a massive burden. They work beyond the court hours. Vacancies are used. Vacations are not available. Vacancies are pending and vacations are used to clear the blockages. Where is the concept of enjoyment or a break coming here? Now, another problem is many political laws that are passed in India do not have a legitimate value. For example, today people are blaming that in 2023, the Indian Penal Code was transformed into the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, BNS. A lot of people today are complaining that it did not help at all. On paper, we converted the IPC, which was more complex and more colonial time, into a more democratic, into a more transparent Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. But in reality, hardly anything changed. Just a change of paper words. There is no genuine reform that has happened. Similarly, the new Income Tax Act 2025. It is only changing words such as notwithstanding, irrespective of. There is no improvement. There is no simplicity here. It is very difficult to interpret disputes in this matter. So anyhow, we have to consult the courts for every small matter that could have been passed without the court's interference. You see? So is there a reform that we need today? Absolutely. The first reform we need is to fill the vacancies in the high courts, in the lower courts immediately, without a delay. Second, we need to improve the infrastructure of the courts. We need more digitization. In India, time gets wasted. There is an online entry for a court case. There is an offline entry also that's being done. It's a waste of time for staff and human power. We need a concept like America. Everything needs to be digitized quickly in real time. Third thing, we should simplify procedural laws. Whether it's Bharati Nyaya Sanhita, whether it's the new Income Tax Act, or whether it is the CRPC, the Criminal Procedure Code, we need to simplify all that so that less time is wasted in interpreting the court decisions. Then we also have to reduce the number of litigations that are being filed by the central and the state government. If center and the state governments keep on filing cases with the Supreme Court, when will the courts take care of people's rights? They will not have the time. So majority of judiciary's time is getting wasted in solving legislature problems. And it doesn't help the citizens at all. So that is a tendency we have to stop. Apart from that, we also have to strengthen the lower courts in India. If the lower courts are strong, then there are fewer appeals to the high court. If the high courts are doing a very definite job, if their laws are systematic and transparent, lesser appeals will be made to the Supreme Court. So we can reduce the burden step by step. Another important thing is, like in yesterday's editorial, I spoke to you about the Lok Adalat. I hope you remember that. We spoke about Lok Adalat, yes? Very good morning, my dear. Rajneesh, who all joined recently. Reshma, good morning, dear. And Order is there, of course. Eric is there. Good morning, Eric. Yes, absolutely. Correct. The purpose was to reduce the number of sections from IPC, Indian Penal Code, to Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita from 500 something to 300 something. But in reality, there is no change. Because it is just a technical change that you have done. The genuine change has not come. For example, the anti-sedition law that was in the news. Anti-sedition law, that did not change at all. It's pretty much the same even today. Okay, so these are certain things. Yes, absolutely, Order. Yes, absolutely, Vikash. That's a valid point. Yesterday we spoke about Lok Adalat. We need to strengthen the Lok Adalat because the decisions taken by Lok Adalat are final and binding. There is no more concept of higher appeal here. It's the final court of jurisdiction. And this needs to be used. in the case of at least civil disputes. A very good mechanism. And yesterday, yes, order, absolutely. We spoke about alternate dispute resolution. We can have family courts. We can have so many specialized fast track courts that take care of jurisdictions without people having the need to go to high courts and supreme courts for every small reason. So, full and final appeal at the Lok Adalat level and final decision at the family court level, at marital dispute court level, lower court level is a great step in reducing the inefficiency of Supreme and High Courts. And that's what India needs today. Now, quite an important article here. So, you can get questions based on this in GS paper 2, Polity and Governance, saying that which judicial reforms could perhaps lead to better efficiency in Indian judiciary system. Or they can also ask you a question and say that is it valid to blame the Supreme Court and the High Courts in India for being inefficient in their functioning and dispersing justice to people? So the answer is the same. Too much vacancies, heavy load of pending cases, 50% litigation coming from center and the state itself, too many appeals being made from lower courts, high courts. And what is the resolution? ADR, alternate dispute mechanism is there. Yes, you have the Lok Adalat solution. You have better things like arbitration, counseling, and dialogue. Yesterday, we spoke about Panch Parmeshwar, the ancient Indian justice system where 5 leaders of the Panchayat used to take decision. And they were called Panch Parmeshwar because their decision was respected by people as divine. Now, this statement of Panch Parmeshwar coming from a justice of Supreme Court itself means a lot. It means today India's judiciary is crying for reforms and we need to provide that. Okay, that's the article here. Let's see what order is saying. Absolutely. Section 124A. Very good. The sedition was removed. But even today there is a controversy that not much change has happened on ground. So quickly the question here. Consider the following statements regarding functioning of Indian judiciary. Is it one? The judiciary in India has the power to remove, strike down the laws passed by parliament if they violate Indian constitution. 2. The judiciary is responsible for drafting and enacting procedures, substantive laws related to civil and criminal matters. 3. A significant portion, a significant segment of cases that are pending before the Indian courts are coming from litigation by government departments and public sector undertakings. So, which of these do you think can be valid or are valid? Absolutely, absolutely, Vikash. Then there is a broader problem of people not being able to trust judiciary because of constant delays. You know, we always say justice delayed is justice denied. And that's why this can also come in ethics paper like Order said that day. We can also discuss case studies which we are soon planning to do after the news articles. In ethics paper also you can get a question like justice delayed is justice denied, 20 marks question in the form of a case study or 10 marks theory question. Same thing comes here. You can give this example. Not a problem, Dipesh. You're most welcome, dear. Okay, so Dipesh and Vikash and Rajneesh, they all say that the answer is going to be B here. Is that the case? Let's look at A. A is absolutely valid. Absolutely correct. B will be the valid answer. The first and the third statement are right. The second one cannot be correct. Why will judiciary pass and draft the law? Judiciary is only meant to interpret the law and then to give a jurisdiction on it. Judiciary interprets the constitution to provide justice. Judiciary doesn't make laws. Law making is a duty of legislature, parliament, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. Okay? The Council of Ministers, the cabinet headed by the Prime Minister, subject to the approval of the president. That's the procedure that we follow. So definitely it's not the judiciary that passes the law. Yes, it protects the constitution by interpreting the laws. Correct answer. Pranesh, sorry. Okay. Next article, page number 6. Once again, about Israel and Palestine. Yes, enactment is done by Parliament, Vikash. Very good, dear. So the next article, page number 6, editorial, Israel's new doctrine of going on the attack. GS paper 2, international relationship. Israel-Palestine relation, US-Israel relation, European Union-US relation, India's response, the entire crisis that is happening in West Asia. So therefore, GS Paper 2, IR and current events of global importance. What is happening now? We all know as 7th October 2023 was the black day when Hamas had attacked Israel. Israelis were attacked as a peaceful civil celebration music festival was going on. While some people were killed, some were taken away as hostages. Since then to today is also 7th October if you remember. Today is also 7th October. 2 years down the lane and West Asia has seen the worst genocide in human history. Israel responded and committed that after this attack of Hamas and this provocation, I will not leave any country which protects and gives shelter to Hamas. And since then, on and on, there has been Israeli airstrike in, obviously, yes, Gaza. Apart from that, in Iran, Syria, Yemen, Qatar, Lebanon. All these countries were attacked by Israel one by one, saying that these are the countries which give shelter to Hamas and Hezbollah, extremist terror organizations which keep attacking Israeli civilians and defense systems. 2 years now, the war is still on. There is no peace. There is no peace. It is a failure of the two-state solution. It is the failure of the 1990s Oslo Accords. Oslo Accords, a series of negotiations between Israel and Palestine to create two separate independent countries side by side. It's a failure of that. It's a failure of other efforts like Abraham Accords, initiated by Arabic countries to create peace between Israel and Palestine. Today, everything has failed. Yes, order, absolutely. Because today, after 2 years of constant war, when no result came, comes American President Donald Trump. And he says, now I will come up with a solution because I want the Nobel Peace Prize. I will negotiate and bring peace in West Asia. And how will he do that? So he has created, as order is reminding us, a board of peace. This international board of peace will be headed by President Trump, and its duty will be to create a solution, to create a 10-point, rather a 20-point peace agreement between Israel and Palestine. The key feature of this peace agreement plan will be Hamas will leave behind all its arms and go for disarmament. Hamas will leave all the Israeli hostages. In return, Israel will systematically withdraw its troops from the West Gaza area. Israel will promise to stop bombing the Gaza region. And Israel will also release all the Hamas hostages. That's the plan right now. Will the plan be successful? Very unlikely. Very unlikely because recently a statement was made by Israeli finance minister and the blood of majority countries started boiling. Especially Arabic countries, especially European Union countries were very angry. Because as the Board of Peace is creating 20-point peace program under Donald Trump president, Israeli finance minister was quoted saying yesterday that the Gaza reminds me of an excellent opportunity of commercialization. It is an excellent golden duck that we can use for our benefit. Even President Trump is saying, let's create a Riviera, a modern industrial Riviera in Gaza. Let us create it as an industrial, touristic, a very special, modernized area. The point is, how will this help the Palestinian people? And the point is, why is Israeli finance minister saying that this looks like a very promising, futuristic area to me that will help us and benefit us financially? Why are these statements coming right now? Because definitely the 20-point program will not create any long-lasting peace. It is a band-aid solution. Why is it a band-aid solution? Because one, since history, Israel has a history. Israel has a past of military expansion. Israel is a very aggressive country, let's understand. Now, whether it is military campaign, whether it's a military-centric policy or constant bombardment of Iran, Syria, Yemen, Lebanon, Qatar, Gaza, Israel has that policy. Recently, there are claims that so many Jewish settlements have been also created in the West Bank area. So Israel is only shrinking the territory that's occupied by Palestinians, because new Jewish settlements are coming around West Bank, and these have fragmented the Palestinian region. Today, creating a country, a consolidated country of Palestine in such small fragments of land, half of which is occupied by Israel, is anyway impossible. It's impossible. Second thing, that Israel also believes that in the process of attacking Hamas and Hezbollah, if it has resulted in civilian deaths, genocide, hunger, United Nations declared famine, Israel has no remorse for that. Israel is not apologetic for all that. It says it's all right. In the process of killing terrorists, if civilians were compromised, it's okay. Do you really think such a country will agree to a two-state solution? No. Second problem. This 20-point peace program is a complete rejection of Palestine's demand of becoming a country. It is a decline of the demand of statehood by Palestine. Now, there are countries in the world today, such as European Union countries, such as Britain, UK, which was once a supporter of Israel long back during Balfour Declaration. UK had acknowledged and recognized Israel. The same UK today, completely frustrated by the war, has now begun supporting Palestine. Similarly, Australia, Canada, there are so many more countries today who really support Palestine statehood. It is these countries who say that today there has to be a two-state solution and Israel has to agree. But what did Israeli Prime Minister do? Prime Minister Netanyahu has once again rejected the two-state solution. In fact, the Jewish settlements in West Bank are only expanding. Palestine's territory is so fragmented that we cannot have any two-state solution now. So Oslo Accords defeated, Abraham Accords defeated, two-state solution also defeated. What is the reaction of the whole world? Now there is the UN Commission of Inquiry, and this UN Commission of Inquiry has said Israel is responsible for genocide in Gaza. Israel is responsible for displacement and famine and drought in Gaza. European Union members are considering imposing the 19th round of sanctions once again on Israel. They are saying, let us once again create huge sanctions on Israel. That means nobody will have trade relationship with Israel, no giving visas or renewing passports to their country for Israeli leaders. Norway has already removed Israeli companies from its sovereign wealth fund, already removed from the list. What about America? America, who was a deep friend, a very close friend of Israel. Remember how America and Israel together conducted the anti-Iran nuclear attacks. They were great friends. Today, even US is becoming embarrassed of Israeli behavior. Till last month, America used to promise on the behalf of Israel that if I say something, Mr. Netanyahu will do that. That was President Trump's confidence. But as soon as he said that, the next day Israel attacked Qatar. Qatar, the largest military base from America, was attacked. This created embarrassment and shame from America. Plus, there is an increasing global pressure on America of stopping the war immediately, of stopping America's billions of dollars support to Israel to finance the war. Today, President Trump, while he still supports Israel, is now not exactly being unconditional. He is not giving a blank check of support. In fact, he is also expecting that some ceasefire should be created because the pressure on President Trump is also increasing now. Although he is giving billions to Israeli military, every time any country tries to pass a resolution in United Nations against Israel, America vetoes that. He is doing everything for Israel, but still not unconditionally. Now he is also rethinking his strategy because Israel doesn't seem to stop. And now if you talk about inside Israel, what is happening? Even the civilians are fed up of war today. Now, as per a recent report, 74% of Israelis, they want negotiation, peace and ceasefire. They say enough is enough. Their lives, education, health sector, infrastructure, GDP, everything is coming to a collapse. Living on a war front for civilians is not easy. So Israelis also 74% of them today want an end to the war. They want a negotiation. There are some generals, senior opposition leaders within Israel who say that Prime Minister Netanyahu wants to continue the war so that he can hold on to his political power. It is a strategy of political survival by Netanyahu. Otherwise, the war should stop now. Talking about ICJ, International Court of Justice, it has said it is a moral responsibility of global community to stop this genocide today. ICC, under International Criminal Court, warrants have already been issued in the name of Prime Minister Netanyahu. So, as the whole global community is rejecting, will Israel stop? Do you think this 20-point peace program coming from President Trump will create some sort of long term negotiation, ceasefire, two-state solution? Do you think so? You can let me know. Otherwise, we will keep tracking the developments. Now, quickly, the question. Absolutely, Dipesh. That's what they are planning to do. Alternate route through Suez Canal, one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. Well said. Yes, order. I was talking about the Balfour Declaration, under which UK had recognized Israel long back after it was created. But today, the same UK is recognizing Palestine. Okay. So the question. Consider the following statements regarding recent Israel-Palestine developments and the world's response. 1. The United Nations Commission of Inquiry has accused Israel of committing genocide in Gaza. 2. Israeli Prime Minister Mr. Netanyahu has formally accepted the idea of Palestinian state as a part of US peace plan, the 20-point peace program. 3. Norway's sovereign wealth funds have divested from certain Israeli companies involved in activities in the occupied territories. So, which do you think are correct? Absolutely. Dipesh, Reshma, Vikash, order, yes. First statement is correct. Third statement is correct. Yes, Rajneesh, that's correct. Second is not correct because Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel has still not accepted the peace plan. Imagine, the peace plan completely favors him, but he's still not ready to accept that. So therefore, the third statement, that is the C option, is absolutely correct. Well answered, everyone. Now, the next article is page number 7, and this article is a sad reminder of how in India, crimes against children are on the rise. Quite recently, yes, Pranesh, that's the valid answer, my dear, 1 and 3. Quite recently, there were reports of data released by NCRB, National Crime Records Bureau, which said that in certain states including the states of Assam, Rajasthan and Kerala, there is a much higher evidence of crimes against children, crimes that are registered under the POCSO Act, the Sexual Offences Against Children Act, and crimes registered under Child Marriage Act. All these are only increasing, specifically in states like Rajasthan, Kerala and Assam. What could be the reason behind that? And what is the genuine reason why even today so many children experience systemic abuse, declining of their human rights, abduction, sexual molestation and trafficking? That's what the article is all about. GS paper 2, vulnerable communities and empowering them. And we are talking about children. Yes, Shubham, that was a correct answer. Well done. Okay. Now, this article is, however, also saying that although the crimes in general in India against women and children have increased, but in certain states like Assam and Kerala, an increase in the crime doesn't mean actually that the crimes have increased against children. It could be that in Kerala and Assam, there is a better reporting of the crimes. There is a better investigation of these crimes. There is more data available. Perhaps it is about more reporting rather than more crimes having increased. Absolutely, order. All this is NCRB, National Crime Records Bureau 2023 data. The data says Assam, Rajasthan, Kerala have seen highest increase in crimes against children. And what were these crimes about? In Assam, there is a 100% increase from about 5,000 cases to more than 10,000. Kerala, 106% increase. Rajasthan, 70% increase. If you talk about the whole country, then nationally, the average says the number of crimes in the children increased by 25%. So this means these three states of Assam, Kerala, and Rajasthan have seen disproportionately high level of crimes. But the article is also saying in Assam, the major reason of higher crimes being recorded is that the state government has taken a strict action against child marriage, juvenile marriage, marriage of girl under 18 and boy under 21 years. Now, recently in one of my current affairs video, I had told you how in India, in Chhattisgarh, there is a district which has become the first district in the country to become free of child marriage officially. Do you remember the name of that district? Anybody remembers? We had done a current affairs video on that. Which district from Chhattisgarh became the first child marriage free district in India? So, certain states like Chhattisgarh, Assam are really trying hard to end the problem of child marriage. Maybe that's the reason. Too many cases being reported under the Child Marriage Prohibition Act 2006 has shown the increase in the number of crimes. Similarly, in Rajasthan, there is a more aggressive use of acts like POCSO Act, Prevention of Sexual Crimes Against Children. Maybe there is a higher rate of enrollment under the POCSO as compared to other sections of IPC, which has therefore proven that there is an increase in kidnapping and abduction as well. Did anybody remember the name of that district? It was the Balod district, okay? The Balod district in Chhattisgarh that became the first child-free marriage officially, first child-free marriage district in India. You can write this in your answers. Now in Kerala also, because of better monitoring of cases, because of better, yes, Balod Reshma, absolutely. Because of higher reporting of crimes under POCSO, maybe there is an actual increase in the number of reported cases. Because ultimately in India, which are the acts which determine and regulate protection of child rights? Some of them are right here. The most important is the POCSO one. Protection of Children from Sexual Offense, 2012. Under this, any sexual offense against a child that comes under sexual harassment, including pornography, it needs special codes to fast track the cases in a very child friendly procedural manner, and the punishments are strict and they should be given immediately. Although there is no upper limit. There is no upper limit like within 6 months or 1 year you have to finish the case, but it has to be done on a fast track basis. Second, there is Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006. Long back, it was also known as the Sharda Act. So don't get confused if somebody uses the word Sharda Act. Sharda Act was passed long back in India. The purpose was to increase the marriage age of girls. At that time, in old ancient India, the purpose was to make the marriage age of girls to 14. Then after the National Population Policy came 1976, it was increased to 18. And since then it has always been 18 until recently the Parliament was discussing an amendment to the Child Marriage Act to make the marriageable age of girls further up to 21. So that's the small history of Child Marriage Act. And the 2006 Prohibition of Child Marriage Act says that it is a penalty, a criminal cognizant offense to actually encourage, promote, or perform child marriage. Such marriages can be declared as null and void by the courts. In Assam, perhaps more reportings are being done. Similarly, there is Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act of 2015. That means children who are dealing with conflict, abuse, they will be given to rehabilitation. People can adopt them. They will be handed over to child welfare committees. And then you have the IPC, the Indian Penal Code, where section 376, for example, rape against children. These are a cognizable crime, right? But in case POCSO is applicable, then many of the crimes against children are transferred from IPC to POCSO. Higher registration of cases under POCSO only means the state will record a higher crime rate against the children. It does not exactly mean that the actual crime is also very, very high. That is something we need to understand. But having said that, having believed that, okay, maybe in states like Kerala, Assam, the higher rate of crime is about higher registering and reporting. But still in India, As per the NCRB data, overall, there has been a rising trend of crime against women and children. What are the genuine causes of these crimes? The biggest is economic stress. As families who come from below the poverty line, they are the ones who are actually sending children to work, which abets the case of child abuse and child crimes. Similarly, underage girls getting married because of economic stress. At the same time, migration among construction workers, agriculture labor workers also creates instability, lack of continuous education, malnourishment, and an increased risk of crime. Urbanization, safety net of the village and community ties are breaking down. Slum culture is predominant in the cities. That also leads to disruptions in people's social life. All these create children vulnerable to kidnapping and sexual trafficking. Then, yes, there is online abuse also. Not only cyber frauds and cyber crimes, but also crimes that are sexual in nature, grooming young children, brainwashing young children, exposing them to vulgar content, pornography, cyber exploitation. All these are very common. That also leads to trafficking, anxiety, stress among children. At the same time, yes, drug abuse is a very rising problem. It's a real problem. In schools and colleges, there are rackets who are involved in drug abuses. All this is perhaps because there is constant migration and there is constant economic distress among the lower income groups, which also register a high rate of crimes against children. So these are the real reasons behind that. Can we do something to solve the problem? One, let us not get worried that the number of cases are increasing on paper. If the number of cases are increasing because there is more monitoring and more reporting, it's a good thing. So there is nothing wrong with Assam and Kerala reporting a higher case level. It's okay. Perhaps it is about better reporting, which is good. So we must encourage school and community level campaigns to promote safety, to allow and to encourage children to report, to speak about what they have experienced, to not be ashamed about that, to remove the stigma against victim blaming. Then at the same time, just like we have the one woman help desk centers under the Nirbhaya Fund that was created in 2013, one stop women scheme. Similarly, we should have a one stop child centers in all police stations, exclusive police desk in a very friendly way to deal with children who are homeless, lost, abducted, especially in rural and remote areas. So these are certain steps we can take to mitigate the problem. Otherwise, it will continue to become a major social problem. Yes, absolutely order. Parental supervision is important here. This topic can also be used for essay writing, disintegration of joint family system, disintegration of community ties, urbanization, busy work culture, lack of parenting control. Is that responsible for higher rates of depression, anxiety, abduction, and crimes against children? Yes, definitely they are very related to each other. Well said there. There is a child helpline. Yes, creating more awareness about that at the school level. All those are important. We can use AI also. GPS trackers can be provided in specially high risk, unsafe regions. All that can be done. Absolutely, Abhishek. That is a paradox. Kerala has 100% literacy and digital literacy case situation. But still, at the same time, there is a higher crime. Why? Your question explains the answer. When there is 100% digital literacy, there is definitely more reporting of the cases. Same thing happens during COVID also. States which have a higher case of reporting will show higher number. But there are some states in which there are more cases, but they never reported the cases. So that is a discrepancy we need to be careful about. Well said. Question, Dipesh has already answered. You will get all these notes, my dear. Akhtar, you will get them, dear, go to the link in the description box of the video. Within this video, in the description box here, just press that. You will get a link about the Hindu. Type that. Go inside that. There is a folder called StudyIQ English Courses. Type that. In there, you will get all the PDFs uploaded. If last two, three ones are not there, I will upload them recently. But from September onwards, you will have all of them. There's a problem, let me know. Okay, question. With reference to rise in crimes against children, as per the NCRB 2023 report, look at the statements. One, a sharp increase in Assam cases are due to large-scale registration under POCSO Act. No, under Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006. Okay. after the government's strong crackdown against child marriage. 2. In Rajasthan, the increase was due to reclassification of child rape cases under relevant sections of the POCSO rather than IPC, Section 376. 3. In Kerala, the increase in case is largely attributed to more cybercrime registration against children under Information Technology Act 2000. So, answer has been given by Dipesh, Reshma, Shubham, Vikash, Rajneesh, and all these people are saying the answer is D, and so is it. Very well done, very well answered as always. Great, great job done. Quickly, the next article, the Nobel Prize 2024 in medicine or physiology as you call it. That's correct, Sonu. You can say Nobel Prize for physiology or Nobel Prize for medicine. It is the most prestigious prize that's given for scientific achievements across the world. They were announced yesterday. And this time, 3 scientists, 2 American and 1 Japanese, have been given the Nobel Prize in medicine. Why have they received this prize? What have they created? Well, they have created a very unique solution. Solution to what? Solution to the problem of autoimmune diseases. There are a certain set of diseases called autoimmune. Autoimmune because in these diseases, your own immune system starts attacking you. Hence, there is no known cure for that. They can be managed, but they cannot be cured. For example, type 1 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, okay? Then multiple sclerosis, certain kinds of skin problems, lupus. All these are known as autoimmune disorders. Data says they are more common among women as compared to men. But at the same time, they impact both men and women disproportionately. Sometimes children below the age of 5 are also victims of this. Autoimmune, your own immune system attacking you. So these scientists today, 2 American and 1 Japanese, have been given this award because for the first time they have discovered the reason behind autoimmune disease and how to therefore in future cure autoimmune problem. And that's a great discovery for this age. And as you're saying, order, absolutely. They have discovered the reason behind autoimmune disease as the regulatory T cells in the body, which are known as TREGs. Okay, that's the main argument of this article. These people done. Now let's break it down in easy words for us. GS paper 3, health, science, technology, and disease prevention. So immune system of the human body. What do you mean by that? See, immune system of the body is meant to fight against dangerous infections and invaders like bacteria, virus, and fungal infections. If an infection, if a bacteria strain or a virus gene comes near me in my body, what will my body do? My body will trigger an immune response. The purpose of that is to kill this invader. Correct? But sometimes an opposite thing happens. My own body will start attacking healthy cells of my own body. Correct? My immune system will start attacking healthy cells of the own body. This it becomes the autoimmune disease, where your own immunity becomes your enemy. It starts treating your healthy cells as invader cells. Today, these 3 scientists, by the name of Miss Mary Bruncon, she's an American. Then the next one also, scientist Fred Ramsdell, he's an American as well. And the third is Mr. Sakaguchi, he's a Japanese person. All these 3 have received the Nobel Prize 2024 for medicine and physiology. Why? Because they were able to explain how in your human body, according to these people, there is a concept called peripheral immune system. Peripheral immune system. So these 3 people together said that there is a special type of immune cell. In the human body, there is a special, very special type of specialized immune cell. Okay. And this special cell is known as TREGs. TREGs because it stands for regulatory T cell. Regulatory T cell. Hence, it can be called as TREGs. It is this particular unique kind of cell that acts as a security guard that stops your immune system from attacking your own body. And this can be utilized to create medication for autoimmune diseases. That's the groundbreaking discovery that these people have created. Yes, it's for the achievement in 2024. Absolutely correct. Okay, so all three people said that there is a special type of gene, immune cell, known as regulatory T cell or TREGs. TREGs are the security guards. They protect your immune system from attacking your own body. Therefore, they can be used to mitigate and solve the mystery of autoimmune disease. And that's why they have been given the Nobel Prize for Medicine this year. They say there is something called peripheral immune system, and it identifies the TREGs in the body. And if their discovery results in creating medications, preventive medicines, gene alteration techniques, then perhaps we will be able to fight with diseases like type 1 diabetes, arthritis, lupus, so many other kinds of dangerous skin disorders, ocular disorders, multiple sclerosis, muscle wasting, all these that are autoimmune in nature can be solved. And therefore, these people are working towards building peripheral immune system tolerance, a kind of defense line in which immune cells will tolerate, they will learn how to tolerate body's natural healthy cells and not attack them again. And that's the reason why they got the Nobel Prize in the first place. So remember this for the prelims as well as for the mains. For the prelims, we can get a question regarding which achievement have these people got the prize for. So you need to remember autoimmune, you need to remember special type of immune cells called TREGs, regulatory T cells, which protect immune system from attacking your body. Third, these people have created a system called alternate peripheral immune system, which is now being developed to investigate medications for these autoimmune diseases. For the main, again, the question can come next year, but then they may ask you that is it possible to eventually find a cure towards autoimmune diseases in the light of the recent discoveries made by Nobel Prize winning scientists Mary Fred and Mr. Sakaguchi. So these are certain things we should remember for the exam. Main thing. Now the question, look at the following statements regarding Nobel Prize in Medicine 24. 1. The prize was awarded for discovery of TREGs, regulatory T cells in the body which prevent immune system from attacking body's own healthy cells or tissues. That's autoimmune. 2. The FOXP3 gene governs the development of TREGs, and mutations in this gene can cause autoimmune disease. And 3. The discovery is primarily useful for treating infectious disease like malaria, tuberculosis. Which of these do you think could be valid? One small hint I want to give you. The FOXP3 gene. Yes, it is this gene in the human body that actually regulates the creation of T cells or TREGs. That is correct. Anybody who wants to answer this little complex question? Okay, you can think about it and I will come back as you begin answering. Now quickly let me cover another article here. Okay, Dipesh says the answer is B. Reshma says it's A. Okay, so some people are saying, Ramu says it's B. Hi Ramu, I didn't see you earlier. Very good morning, dear. Okay, Shubham also says, Rajneesh has given the answer. For you guys has given the answer, but everybody's answer is different. Even Sonu's answer is different. Eric is different. So then what will be the right answer here? I can give you another hint. The last option, statement number 3 is saying, this discovery of TREGs, regulatory T cells, that are a special type of immune cells which can prevent us from getting autoimmune disease. I gave you a hint. Yes, they are created by the FOXP3 gene. Another hint I can give you, the role of the TREGs is to control autoimmune disease. Diseases like tuberculosis and malaria are vector-borne diseases. Tuberculosis is bacterial. Malaria is vector-borne. Aedes mosquito. Are these autoimmune? If they are not autoimmune, then how can the third answer option be valid? It cannot be valid. So then among A and B, which is the valid answer? Oh, too much confusion. Let's wait till the last step before we declare the answer. Okay, let's wait till the last. Little suspense is good. Now, another quick news in France once again. For once again, imagine in such a short period of time, within 2 months, Prime Minister Lecornu has quit. He has resigned from his post. The new Prime Minister resigned exactly 24 hours after he had named his ministers. Within 2 months of assuming the office, less than a month of officially claiming the office, he has resigned. Today in France, parliamentary democracy is in a mess. In the short span of time, quickly, the prime ministers have been resigning one after the other. It is leaving the president in a very unstable state right now. And because of extreme controversy between the right wing and the left wing parties, there is no possibility of dialogue or a political agreement. Okay, so what has happened? Sébastien Lecornu, who was France's recent newly appointed prime minister, has resigned from office. For 1 month also, he has not been in office. He was the fourth prime minister who has resigned within a year. Fourth prime minister. Therefore, there is political instability in France right now. There are so many issues France is dealing with. Indeed, France is dealing with the NATO crisis. France is dealing with migration crisis. France is dealing with the crisis of its ongoing sanctions that it is imposing against countries like Russia, acknowledging Palestine. So many things are going on. Among that, there is internal political instability as well. Because no party is getting an exact majority, and all the governments in the recent past were created with coalition. Therefore, every time ministers were crossing the floor, the result is that it was difficult to build a consensus. There is no agreement coming out. Before resigning, the Prime Minister, Mr. Sébastien Lecornu, said, I did not get any support. There was no majority agreement to anything that I said. So therefore, there was no choice but to resign. And without parliamentary majority, it is impossible for a particular party or an individual to continue to hold the position of power. There is extremism, there is migration, and at the same time, there is the far left parties too. All in all, there is no agreement today, and France has once again slipped in uncertainty. We will track the developments. Now, the last article before we come back to that answer on drugs, an immune system and Nobel Prize, is that in India, if you talk about marriages and divorces, adultery, is it valid to blame a third person for breaking a marriage? Suppose if a husband and a wife want a divorce on a mutual ground, they believe that their marriage is incompatible. And today the Supreme Court has said that incompatibility is a valid cause of taking divorce. It is a valid cause, irretrievable. Incompatibility means you can break the marriage. But is it valid to blame a third party for your marriage breaking down? That's the issue this article is creating. Nowhere in the world right now, except very few American states, do we have a law where husband-wife can sue a third person for breaking their marriage. Usually it is not a protocol at all. And in India, it is a very complex situation because Indian laws do not have any such provision of creating a civil liability on a third person for breaking a marriage. At the same time, Indian laws do not even prohibit this from happening. So exactly, what is this third party issue? And in India, how does this work? Let's make it very clear. Today, this article is asking, can a husband or a wife? Yes, order. Because of coalition only it broke down in France right now. Absolutely. Yes, the FOXP3 gene I will talk about in detail. Done. I'll do that for you, dear. A spouse in India, a husband or a wife, is it possible that they go and create or file a case, a civil case against a third individual, saying that this person has destroyed my marital life? Is it possible to do that? Is it allowed under Indian laws? Now, this is a matter of controversy because in 2018, India became one such country where the Supreme Court decriminalized adultery. They said while adultery is an immoral thing to do, adultery means cheating in a marriage, having an extramarital relationship. Definitely it is an immoral thing to do, but it is not a crime. It has been decriminalized under section 497. So that means section 497 of IPC was decriminalized. Adultery is not a crime anymore as per Supreme Court of India, Joseph Shine versus Union of India case. Very important landmark Supreme Court case. You need to remember. Joseph Shine versus Union of India 2018, adultery or cheating is not a crime because women are not properties of their husbands. So while adultery is a wrong thing to do, it is a civil wrong, but it is not a crime. It can be a ground for divorce also, but it is not a crime. That's very clear. Once again in 2024, the Delhi High Court, when it was hearing a case between Shelly Mahajan versus M.A. Bhanushri Bahal, in this case, High Court said that a husband or a wife has the right to sue a third party for interfering and destroying their marriage if the third party deliberately broke down their marriage with a bad intention. The Delhi High Court said definitely a spouse can sue a third person under a law that is known as, or a small clause that is known as, alienation of affection. So this is the new term we are learning from this article, AOA, alienation of affection. When because of a third person other than husband and wife, their marital relationship, which was once happy and thriving, became destroyed. With a bad intention, a third person came and destroyed somebody else's marriage. That leads to alienation of affection, ending of any attachment in that marriage, and that is a civil crime as per the judgment of Delhi High Court 2024. Today the controversy is that under Joseph Shine case 2018, Supreme Court said adultery is not a crime. That means if it is done voluntarily, it is not even a crime. It is not a criminal offense. Then today, how can we sue somebody? How can you sue a third party for saying that you destroyed my marriage? Will that work? It is too complex in nature. That is the question we are asking. Also understand, AOA, alienation of affection, is not a law in India. It is not a civil law. It is not a criminal law. It is known as something that you can call as a tort. What can you call that? A tort. A tort. And what is a tort? A tort is a wrongdoing. It is an action that cannot be punished. It is not criminal in nature. But since it has damaged somebody, you may have to pay some fine or you may have to apologize for that. That is called a tort. A tort is not a crime. It cannot be punished. If my action has harmed somebody, but it is not a criminal offense, you cannot punish me for that. But because I have damaged you in some way, then perhaps I may have to either apologize to you or I may have to give you certain damage charges for that. That is called a tort. So A to AOA is a tort right now, alienation of affection. Today the court is saying, the Delhi High Court is saying there are three ways in which you can say AOA is a tort. It cannot be punished. Alienation of affection, destroying somebody's marriage, is not a crime. But still, you will have to face consequences if, one, you have deliberately, intentionally, by the intention of causing a harm, destroyed somebody's marriage and created AOA, alienation of affection in that marriage, destroyed the affection in that marriage. Second, if you have done such an action that has resulted in some kind of a mental or physical injury to one of the spouse, either the husband or the wife, you have literally damaged them in some way. Third, the harm that this person has suffered because of your actions, physical, mental, emotional, it is so strong that you will have to pay some compensation for that. Then it qualifies as a tort under AOA. And civil courts in India will have the power to do jurisdiction of AOA claims. Family courts, although they deal with marital disputes, they also deal with disputes of domestic abuse sometimes, but they cannot preside over cases which deal with tort against third parties. So as Ramu is defining beautifully, tort is a civil wrong, a civil crime, not a crime exactly, a civil wrongdoing that you do against another person for which you will have to pay some price, either monetary or otherwise, or apologize in front of a civil court because it is not a crime, but it is wrong. So A to A, alienation of affection within a marriage, if a third person is doing, it can be called a tort. It can be jurisdicted by a civil court. And the third party who is being blamed, if they have done something wrong, and injured the intent in the mentally or physically to some spouse, they will have to pay the price for that. Only a civil court can decide that. Okay. So today the Supreme Court has said that yes, adultery has been decriminalized under IPC. That is correct. Section 497 decriminalized. But it doesn't mean that torts cannot be entertained. Torts are still valid in civil courts. Matrimonial issues, Hindu Marriage Act. They often say that husband, wife, if they have a problem, they can discuss it with their family. They can actually go to a matrimonial dispute family court. They can also have a divorce within section 13 of the Hindu Marriage Act, but it doesn't mention anything about a tort. So therefore, tort has nothing to do with marital laws. It is purely a civil crime. We can't even say crime. It's purely a civil wrong action. Hence, it is not a crime, but you will have to face the consequences if you are found guilty of creating a tort. And here, AOA, alienation of affection by a third party into somebody else's marriage deliberately, is a tort. And it can be jurisdicted by the civil courts. That's all for the day. You can verify the answer here now. So what was the answer? It was B, 1 and 2. And why was it the answer 1 and 2? Answer was 1 and 2 because, as I said, yes, the prize has been given for understanding that a cell of a body, a kind of specialized cells called the tregs. Yes, they can control autoimmune diseases, and the gene in the body that regulates the production of tregs is indeed the FOXP3 gene in the human body. That is what the scientists have identified, for which they have been given the prize. So 1 and 2 will be the valid answer. At the same time, those who answered A were also quite fine. They were also okay because we had not discussed about FOXP3, so it's fine. Now you know, FOXP3 governs the development and regulation of Treg cells, regulatory T cells. I hope that's clear now. There's any doubt, you want more detailed analysis of Treg's FOXP3, let me know. I'll bring this down for you. Okay, with that, I want to take your leave now. At a point where it's a quick reminder about the upcoming sale, and the batch is beginning from 17th October exclusively for those students who are writing 2026 UPSC. Because very limited period of time is remaining, we are calling this batch Fast Track batch. So please enroll today if you want to get massive discounts on various GS courses, optionals, CSAT, essay, current affairs, all of that is provided. And at the same time, since time is limited, this is going to be an aggressive, very professionally oriented mentorship course. So if you are interested, please type code SPLIVE on your screen because it is starting 17th October. If you want more details about it, if you want more clarification, please reach out to us. The PDFs will be available. If anybody has a problem, you can let me know. Thank you so much, Ramu. That's very kind of you. Thank you, Shubham. Thank you, Vikash. Thank you, Sonu. Thank you so much, dear. Dishank says he wants a video on the IPEX syndrome. Fine. As you say, definitely I'll bring it for you. No problems there at all. Okay. So thank you so much for the lovely interactive session. Let me see you tomorrow now with another Hindu. And definitely I will work upon whatever topics you want me to discuss. Okay. All right. EFO. Done. I'll do that for you. Okay, Shubham. Understood. All right, Dishank. God bless all of you. See you tomorrow.